Wow, hello everyone, and welcome to a new and fresh episode of Pharma Insights, the talk show created by Platforce to connect, share, and develop new professional relations all worldwide. I'm so happy to be here and be your host today. My name is Juliana Kreisel, and in this episode, we will explore Omni-channel. We are going to discover how we can leverage AI technologies for enhanced engagement, how personalize customer experience, and increase sales effectiveness. I'm not going to be alone here today, so let me introduce my co-host for this incredible webinar, Mr. Stefan Repin. He is the head of marketing here at Platforce. Hello, Steph. How
Hey,
are you doing?
Juliana, how are you today? Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. It's the last day before Easter, so I'm really excited about our audience. I guess they're all like waiting for this webinar and then heading home to their families. So yeah, so I'm gonna try to make it really exciting today, so they don't sit in front of their screens for nothing. Because I have
Like,
like today I have like the guests are so amazing and they're so different that I think it's gonna be such an exciting chat. So today we're gonna talk about omnichannel and AI, the AI implementation in omnichannel. That's where we have brought some wonderful consultants here, and which some of them are really hands-on. So I really hope that you guys, in the audience, can learn a lot from them. Um, well, you can go forward and present our wonderful speakers.
sure. So first, I'm going to introduce Ben. Hi, Ben. How are you? Welcome.
Hey, very good, thank you. Excited to be here and excited for the Easter break too.
Thank you. Well, you're the pharmaceutical consultant. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And
Yeah,
before I,
so hi everyone. My name is Ben Keppie. I'm a consultant at 28B, and I typically work with brand teams, commercial leads, and creative agencies to really enable and empower pharma field teams to orchestrate great customer experiences through three main areas. So the first being CRM, the second being CLM content, and then lastly the data that really marries the two together. And my background before joining 28B, which is agency side, my experience has all been in-house in pharma. So I started off in the labs, moved through to clinical research, and then over to oncology commercial. So I held some oncology marketing roles across tactical execution and strategy, and then also had some experience in sales as an oncology key account manager up in Scotland.
thank you, Ben. You are quite an amazing guest. So second, I'm going to introduce James. Hey, James, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. So James, you are the founder of Camino. Can you talk us a little bit about that?
Yes, we're calling Camino the Omni-channel native medcoms agency. That is, we're a medcoms agency, but we do it differently because taking our omni-channel approach. That's twice I've said omni-channel now. I'm going to keep count of how many more times. I come originally as a developer. I come from a digital background. I then ended up building digital teams within agencies for pharma. Then, I guess, kind of beginning of the pandemic, realized the opportunity of digital becoming omnichannel. So I built omnichannel teams, and then I founded Camino at the start of 2023. So we've been growing about 15 months. We're about 9 people now, and as I say, we're focusing on that omnichannel approach to medcoms with a little bit of AI sprinkled in as well, because that's something I'm quite interested in, which I'm sure we'll also say a number of times today. But
Nice. I like how we're keeping count of how many
giving
times we
tab.
step on the channel. Okay, so last but not least, let me introduce our third speaker to this panel, Mr. Manuel Mitola. Hello, Manuel. How are you?
Hello, hi Juliana, all good. Hello everyone, and yeah, so I quickly introduce myself.
Yes.
So my name is Manuel Mitola, and I come from Italy. Actually, I live in Milan, and yeah, at the moment I'm covering the role as a global digital innovation manager at Menarini, but I have, let's say, years of experience also in another pharma company that I'm pretty sure you all know is Eli Lilly. as a global associate director for neuroscience Omni-channel. That was my last role. And so I spent many years working into the Omni-channel area, especially for pharma. I am a marketeer by background. I also have, let's say, a bachelor in communication science, an MBA in digital transformation. So, I mean, these are the things that I, let's say, have worked a lot in the last, let's say, 8-9 years. And very glad to be here with you and to speak about Omni-channel and especially also about AI. That's, I mean, AI is one of the topic that it is very close to my heart. I mean, if you go on my LinkedIn profile and perhaps you do the mistake of adding me to your contact, basically you will see a lot of content about AI, because in a nutshell, what I do on my LinkedIn account and also on my YouTube account actually is to do a lot of tests on AI solution. I mean, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, and so on. I mean, there are many. And basically, I test it on, let's say, the practical usage of an omni-channel marketer for big corporate. So I test it, and then I share the learning on my LinkedIn account. So yeah, glad to be here, learn and from you guys, and to interact with the audience with the questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, before we start, let me thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being our amazing panel. And I also want to thank you attendees for taking the time to watch in our talk show. We are very excited to have you here. And I want to remind everyone that if you have any questions or any comments or anything that you want to share with us, you can always do it on the comment section below the video, and we are going to bring it up here in the video. So without any further delay, let's start with this incredible panel. Stefan, do you want to give the opener?
I'll lead. In fact, if you know me, I'm quite hands-on person, so I'm super excited about AI and Omnichannel. Maybe we can make a contest. How many times are we gonna say the word AI and Omnichannel together? we can count at the end of this webinar. But I really liked. I'd like to start with what Manuel mentioned, that he is a researcher. He's a researcher at his job and in life, and marketer. So I would like to know how you guys seeing like a practical use. Let's start with Manuel. In fact, Manuel, can you please highlight the amazing LinkedIn post that you wrote about? Like, what were your findings about AI and its usage in omnichannel?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very broad topic, let's say, and I mean, maybe one thing that I could share very quickly is that I started, I mean, posting all this kind of very practical tests on LinkedIn because I saw that when there was, let's say, back to a couple of years ago, the rise of the hype raised by ChatGPT. And Stefan, maybe we can also count how many times we are mentioning ChatGPT at the end of the webinar. But basically, I saw that there were a lot of hype, and there was a lot of saying, I mean, we can do everything. But from my side, I mean, I come from the countryside, and to me, let's say, I like to be very practical and saying it can be done, it can be do everything. It doesn't mean anything to me. So basically, I found that, I mean, everybody was saying it can do everything, but then I needed to test it. So basically, I started with some practical application, and what I was looking for was for the things that AI basically is doing very well. So, for example, dealing with a big amount of data, dealing with let's say multi-source, multi-variable sources, dealing with content generation for let's say things that are difficult for our human brain. So to make a practical example, in marketing, basically you are always working with, for example, customer persona. In pharma, you are doing a lot of work around patient persona to understand, let's say, for example, the needs, the behavior of a patient in order to help him or her effectively. So a practical application that I did, if you go on my LinkedIn profile, you will see also I spoke about Claude. Claude is not, let's say, the model or AI service. Claude is a custom GPT that it is replicating the patient persona. So historically speaking, patient persona are static figures. In this case, what I did was to take the characteristics of a patient persona, put it in the knowledge base of a custom GPT and make it dynamic. So from one day to the next, you were able to speak with your patient persona, ask questions, interact with her in this case. And it was, let's say, a very good use case that was also reposted for, I'm sure you know, Isabel Bedoya. So, I mean, she said, I mean, it was a very good GPT. So that's something that I'm very proud of and basically very practical use cases. Then there are many others, but I mean, I leave the space also to James and Ben, of course.
Well, I think that I just have to second the fact that if you're looking for practical uses of AIs, Manuel's YouTube channel is a great hosts a great library of that in practical terms, which is fantastic. And I think we've got a good count going on there.
So you're talking about like, you know, how you like get on board with AI. You said there was a lot of people going, "Oh, it can do anything." I had a very similar experience. I think like kind of peak excitement around ChatGPT was kind of February 2023, February, March. Everybody was getting really excited. It could literally do anything. And I was just starting Camino at that time. And so I was on LinkedIn arguing with people in the comments section of ISMAP posts and MAPS posts and just going, yeah, no, they can't do all of that. And you're getting a bit overexcited. And there's people getting overexcited on one end and people being overly worried at the other end. Just like, oh my God, AI is going to replace my job, steal all my data, all before I've even woken up in the morning. I was like, oh, chill, calm down. So kind of arguing with both of those points. The way we approach kind of using AI in projects, which has worked quite well for us, is to look at it from 3 points of view, which are you adding efficiency? And efficiency is great. I saw somebody posted a study today saying that 40%, I can't remember the exact number, I think it's something like 40% of pharma reckon that they're going to save money in 2024 from using AI. Okay, great. That's like the doommonger saying they might lose their job have a point if that's all we're looking at. So efficiency is one thing, but it's not the only thing. The other thing that AI has to bring is value. So can it do something better? So like one of the use cases we've had is looking at a bunch of clinical trials and having a much wider view than one medical writer could normally look at. So rather than looking at 100 papers, we're looking at 1,200 papers. So that's the added value of using AI. So you've got efficiency, you've got value, and the third thing is innovation, right? Some people want to use AI because it's exciting and different, and you're staying ahead of the competition, and that is valuable. But if you do all of those 3 things, you're doing AI really well. If you're just looking at efficiency or you're just looking at innovation, then not really. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, from my side, James, I fully agree with all the 3 pillars that you mentioned. Absolutely.
I also
Go on, Ben.
You're probably hoping for some bite back there, James, by the sounds of it. Very provocative. No, I think it was interesting what you picked up on there about almost the fear of AI that we kind of see in the kind of the taking of people's jobs or replacing of people's jobs. And you hear that a lot, but when you look at the kind of AI technologies that are being commercialized, a lot of them are very much positioned as supporters to roles. So like taking the field teams, for example, there's a kind of rise in potential virtual sales assistants that are coming to the market, like Copilot from Actana or My Idea from Trueblue, and they're all solely positioned to really enable, and empower people just to be more effective. Ultimately, do their job better in a smarter way, rather than having to go around the hard way and do a lot of stuff that's not particularly of value spending time doing. So it's actually interesting how much the mindset is a really important piece when looking at the adoption of AI technologies, and how it just relays how important it is that when you are adopting these new technologies, how important that kind of mindset aspect is, as well as the skill set in terms of ensuring you're giving the space to upskill on how to use the AI tools best as well.
Yeah. And if I may, guys, I mean, James, you raised, and Ben, you raised also a very valid point. Let's say that it is related to the difference between, in terms of perception, between seeing the AI as a tool or seeing it as an ally capable of everything. And basically, I mean, as you said, James, I started saying the perception of seeing it capable of everything, including, I mean, if you look at the newspaper, killing the humanity. But personally, and I mean, that's a question for you guys, if you agree or not. I mean, personally, I see the AI as a tool, and I see it as something that it is as useful as the person that it is behind the tool, or I would say on top of the tool, using it. And without the person at this point of time where we are in terms of the AI evolution and so on, I see it as a tool, to be honest. And I don't know if you agree with that, or you see it as something different.
I personally, I do agree, or rather did up until a few days ago, when I saw the advancements that have been made in video generation from AI terms, and the fact that I think that there was a video release showing the latest Sora AI model, where they essentially made a short film from a text to video piece, and that then got me excited, but also start to move along that worried scale about how quick and how advanced AI technologies are moving forward. So I don't know. I'm not as confident anymore that it's going to stay that way forever, just because of the scale and speed that the AI is moving along. But in most part, do agree that it's a supporting tool, especially in our industry. As well, as I said, a lot of the tools they're being commercialized as supporting technologies, which is, I suppose, reassuring for the industry.
Yeah.
Guys, sorry to interrupt you. I want to answer a few questions from our audience, because there's a question about AI here from Hani Hassan Eladi. We're doing this for the audience, so like, so I'm going to quote: "I think that AI has facilitated different aspects of the marketeer job schema, saving time consumed in searching and validation of research used in preparing the marketing plans and different areas of interest for any marketeer. But how?" Here's the question. But how AI would reflect on the sales team currently and in the future? Okay, let's take the question. Who wants to take it first?
I didn't get the question.
All right.
Sorry.
How would AI reflect on the sales team currently in the future? Would they cut the sales team? Would sales team use it together with AI? Maybe it wouldn't get any adoption. What do you think?
Well, I think to the point that we're just talking about, that it's a tool which assists people, right? So the sales team, like any other team, can or may or may not use AI in their job for various things. And once it's integrated, it's not very far away, it's integrated into everybody's Outlook for helping you rewrite emails. You know, then it basically becomes as ubiquitous as spell check, and nobody thinks, "Oh, I'm using AI." No, I'm just having the thing help me write my emails. And then you just extrapolate that out into all those other, to Ben's point a minute ago about kind of just assisting you in your day-to-day. You just extrapolate it out to all the other jobs you do and the boring bits. So the help me rewrite that. Just throw me together a slide deck. All of that becomes part of a sales team's role, right? It becomes part of their day-to-day. So but I'm not actually answering the question. Specifically for sales teams, I don't know if there's any specific differences, but maybe Ben disagrees.
I think the two main things would be like speed and simplification. I remember when I was in sales, I'd have, so many different dashboards to access all of the different forms of information that I'd need in order to truly understand my territory, and then also truly be able to efficiently pre-call plan. So I think that, with the likes of virtual sales assistants coming in, being able to, as Manuel said, take loads of different sources of information, put some analysis over that and draw insights from it. I think that there's a lot of potential to save field teams specifically time in some of those admin tasks to actually get those insights that then drive change on territory.
Yeah, and if I can add, let's say when it comes to pharmaceutical sales, we are speaking about a very peculiar kind of sales with very specific sales life cycle flows and so on. So if I think about omni-channel in pharma, let's say it has been always the biggest challenge was always to somehow integrate into all the digital marketing channels the customer facing teams. And with AI, I think, finally we could get close to that, or at least achieve this thing. So I think the biggest change will be the integration, and it will be an integration where the sales rep will be able to know, let's say, what the company is doing in terms of the other channel. I'm thinking about mass email, for example, or I'm thinking about activity on third-party sorts of authority, let's say Medscape, Univadis, and so on. And in pharma, when it comes to sales, there is also, of course, the production of email, the production of content that the sales rep is sending to the physician. But there was always something around the so-called, let's say, next best action, that it was something that it was recommending the sales rep to do an action after a certain event. I think AI having the possibility to take multiple and several different sources into account will be finally able to give the integration and the recommendation needed for the sales rep to take the right action. So definitely, I think it will be a game changer. But the key step to arrive there, it will be also training and Salesforce onboarding, because without training people to effectively use this tool, they will simply reject it. And I can tell you by experience, usually sales rep are a various, let's say, a very diverse group of people. So you have people that are embracing the change, embracing the innovation, but you have also a lot of people rejecting it at all, scared. I remember years ago with the digital, I don't want a digital, I don't want even an iPad. So, that's something that is truly interesting, but it is crucial to give them all the instrument to understand the potential of AI and using it practically.
I think as well.
I have...
Go
ahead,
Stefan.
Ben. I wanted to make a short comment, really short comment, that in marketing, we have basically when the customer goes through a certain funnel, we give it a certain points of like how ready is that customer and what topics are going to be interesting for that customer. And I think the better quality data we have on customers, right? So the AI is as good as the data that we gather, right? So I think it's quite important in the omnichannel strategy, because when we have more data on our customers, then AI can predict the better next action for the sales rep, right? And I know that you are in data, so you're a scientist in one way. So you and James know that even better than I do. That the more information we have about customers, the more exact the next step is going to be. So take it with a grain of salt, if you may.
I think, but AI isn't going to solve the problem of, we've already got loads of data, right? Already your website generates bucket loads of data. You send a bunch of emails, you get a load of data. Your field reps have iPads and they come back with loads of data and then nobody does anything with it because nobody really knows why we collected that or what it meant, or an AI isn't going to solve that answer and go, oh, that means that, and then therefore there's something else. Because you're not asking the question. You don't know what question to ask.
Yeah.
I think the challenge that needs to be solved first in terms of like omnichannel and metrics is, why are we doing this? What are we trying to do? We've got a framework where we start with the outcome and we sit down with teams and go, what are we trying to do? Okay, that's the outcome. What's the KPIs? What's the tactics? And therefore, what's the metrics? And then rather than having a sea of data, we have a few data points that point towards an outcome. Now, yeah, in terms of like getting those, like if those data points are in field notes, then an LLM is great for extracting that. Or sentiment analysis, etc. AI is great for that, but I think is not going to solve the biggest challenge of just choosing what it is you're doing and why.
Wholeheartedly agree with that, James. Like that, what you just summed up there is exactly what we do when I consult on ICVAs or e-details, iCells, whatever name you want to choose. But really thinking about what is it that you're wanting from that field team engagement. What are those rich questions that you're asking the HCP, and how can you have content with you to support asking those questions and also extract that data as well? Because ultimately, I think we may all or may not agree that the most rich customer insight comes from that one-to-one interaction or one-to-many interaction that field teams have with HCPs. Because the HCPs, they're not going to give up their clinical pathway to a banner ad or give up a barrier to prescribing to a automated email campaign. Regardless of how much AI you shove into it, you're going to get it from the field team and their conversations with HCPs person to person. So I think that and I'm quite passionate about this, I think that in our industry, there's still a lot of work to do on the foundations of HCP engagement across the whole mindset, skill set, and tool set spectrum. But really in mastering what it is that we're using our CRMs for, how can we use our CRMs, and how can we get those nice data points that can then potentially be used later on by those and then start talking about AI later on. And that would be cheaper to implement and probably have a greater commercial impact, quite frankly.
And maybe, I have a couple of comments for you guys, for Ben and James. So I start with Ben. I fully agree with you that, the face-to-face interaction is super important. And the insights that you get from there, priceless. The problem with that is that, first of all, you need to have a big enough sales force to reach out to all your customer, or at least all your target list. And if you have a very small sales force compared to the universe of a physician, then it will become very, very difficult to get this kind of information. And it is here where, let's say, the omni-channel can make the difference, especially because the access to physician, especially in UK also, is reducing year after year. I see data where the access to physician is decreasing a lot, and so omni-channel can somehow help fill in this gap. And that's one thing. The other thing, James, I agree with you. AI is not a kind of panacea solving all the issues, especially when it comes to data. But I think historically speaking, pharma companies has always have a lot of data, especially vertical data about also the physician. There is a lot of databases about the customer, let's say. I think the issue was to get insights out of this data, because people were simply overwhelmed by all this data. And maybe with AI asking, for example, to a chatbot, natural language question, asking about insights, maybe it could be a tool again to help mitigating this, let's say, abundance of data and missed opportunity of the data. So I think data is the oil. I think we are refining it, and AI can help there. But it's not a 100% solution. Fully with you.
I'm going to add a commercial pause now. I'm kidding. I'm going to add a pause here to ask a question regarding that one of our beautiful attendees asked is my question to the panel. Pharma and GMP follow strict regulations. When you consider implementing AI in pharma, are you aware of the regulations and guidelines needed? How will you validate an AI system? So who wants to tackle that? I see James going. Please, James.
Yeah, first try to find this question. The same way you validate all your team using Microsoft Word or your agency using Adobe Photoshop. Like, it's just a tool and you're not worried about that. Microsoft Word is AI powered and Adobe Photoshop is AI powered. So unless, we're building you a custom AI platform, that's going to be a big deal. If you want to roll out, as a lot of pharma companies are doing, if you want to roll out your own version of GPT, your IT team will do some checks and they'll run it through Microsoft Azure and they'll say, here's some training and it'll be fine. Not a big deal, in my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Maybe I can add something to this, James.
Yeah, please.
Very quickly. I think yes, of course. I mean, we are fully aware of the regulation, and basically this is something that pharma companies are taking into serious consideration because, of course, I mean, they are used before rolling out any solution to take into account. In Europe, I think we are somehow luckier than other countries, because Europe is ahead of the curve in terms of AI regulation. So on top of the usual pharma regulation, we do also have somehow from the European Union AI Act, AI recommendation. EMA is, let's say, saying something about AI. I think that the key part is to, let's say, when you are working on the AI solution, to take privacy and privacy compliance regulation officers, let's say, together with you from the very first step of the deployment of the solution, because otherwise this is not going to fly. But definitely is something crucial. Pharma, when it's releasing a product, is starting from safety and then looking to efficacy. So in this case, it's the same, I think.
Okay. We have another question. I like this audience. It's very active. From George. He says, an observation. Is the life science industry ready and mature to such extent that we are already talking about omnichannel excellence? My question to the panel, what do you think the future of omnichannel experience will be in terms of patient and HSP engagement?
I can start, or you can start, Ben.
No,
Go on, Manuel.
Manuel, please, your turn.
No, because I was reading this question, and thank you, George, for sharing. It's very interesting. Personally, I think is the industry has a very different, very diverse level of maturity, company against company. Let's say I see companies that are very, let's say, very advanced. Some other that are lagging behind in terms of adoption, not only of the AI. I'm speaking about the adoption of the, let's say, already classical omni-channel. So I think it depends, company by company. And when I think about the future of omni-channel experience, I think it will be the keyword. Let's say it will be hyper-personalization on both sides. And when I say both sides, I mean internal, to have, let's say, AI used to, let's say, training, for example, your sales force on a specific subgroup of HCP, or to, let's say, focus, shape your plan, shape your strategy for a specific subgroup of physician internally, and then externally in terms of content production. So this hyper personalization, I think it will be the keyword, and we will hear a lot about it, because it includes next step, next best action. It includes hyper personalized content and so on. So that this, I think, it will be the key. And another quick quick thing is that in the past we were going toward the creation of many content. We deployed Content Factory, pushing for more and more content. The result, physicians are overwhelmed by all the content. So I think we will have also less content, but higher personalization, higher quality of the content in the future.
I disagree.
I was on. Ooh.
Who wants
I-
to go?
I don't think the future is hyper personalization, and maybe I'm being unfair in terms of like what I think that means, but like it's not about going, hey, Dr. Keppie, we noticed that you were using your phone at 12:42 p.m. and you looked up this, and therefore we did that. Like getting into
But that's
really
stalking.
creepy stalking, right? It's not about being so
That's like a
nuanced.
stalker.
Yeah. We know that you like ice cream, therefore we're going to tell you about the efficacy of our diabetes product. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's about being like hyper personalized in terms of push, and maybe this isn't what you meant, but I think like when we talk about personalization, it's not a personalized content; it's a personalized journey. So, like how you use Netflix, everyone gets the same content on Netflix, but your journey through that content is different. When you finish watching something, it says you may also like. Those are personalized messages that they get you, and the things it tells you what you might want to watch is all personalized, and that's the personalized journey. But crucially, they're giving you a choice. Netflix doesn't say you have to watch this next. It says we think you'll watch this next, and that's self-personalization. So I think, and maybe we're talking the same thing as I say, but I think the future is self-personalization.
Yeah, I think so.
Is allowing you. It's just like saying we think you're going to want this, or maybe this is something that's more breadth. This is something that's more depth. Giving that choice and giving multiple choices, such that your physician goes, "Oh yeah, I do want to know about that. That does look interesting. Thanks very much." And that's continuing the conversation. Okay, you've organized that content into stories, continuing the conversation, but it's not about being really creepy.
Yeah,
I think it's all about the strategic thought about relevant content rather than starting with trying to personalize for personalization's sake. It's really starting to think about what is the relevant content. And in terms of like a, practical tip for that, most brand teams today have, an adoption ladder and a behavioral segmentation. If you can do a real simple activity of drawing up a nice grid and then mapping out where your current content fits for each of those areas, and then you'll start to be able to see where those gaps are, or whether potentially you're focusing too heavy for content on one particular area. And if you haven't got content that covers all of those areas, how are you going to personalize if you're not even starting from a relevant content base on that front?
Yeah. And just to answer James very quickly, I think we were speaking about the same thing, because when you made the example of hyper personalization, of course, I mean, you put it to the extreme that it looks like stalking, not the hyper personalization. But the example that you made about Netflix, I think this is exactly a perfect example of hyper personalization. Because if you open Netflix, of course, we have access to the same list of movies, but my home page of the website will be completely different from yours. And if I go to a website of a pharmaceutical company, this could be the case, but it is not the case at the moment. And that's the level of hyper personalization. So if I'm a physician that usually is more, let's say, prone to look at clinical studies, maybe in the home page I have a lot of clinical studies, and I don't think we are already there. But then it must be absolutely a mix of push and pull channels. But I think from my side, this is the future of personalization.
If I might, I'm gonna put my 5 cents here. Did you know also that Netflix they're potentially looking into creating different scenarios for the movie? So my ending of the movie could be different from your movie. So based on that, so let's say I like more drama, right? And then let's say I like when the ending is dramatic. So the movie that I will see is going to be the different movie. It's going to have a different scenario from the movie that you will see, because it's going to have two endings. a happy ending and a dramatic ending, for example.
Well, but in my case, I'm going to bring the Netflix case. With my husband, we watch with either a user. So I'm going to have an action ending when I want a romantic ending. I'm not happy about this. Why no one asked me? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, please.
I find it quite funny how we do love the Netflix analogy in our industry, and I don't know whether it's just me, but I haven't had the best experiences of recommendations of content personally. So
Same
is
here.
that, should we take a step back and think, like, is that something that we really want to strive towards as an industry?
I've had great
Or
recommendations.
you have?
What?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Do you
Might
share
just
your account
be.
for someone else? Do
I
you?
I know I've got my own little setup, my own little nice profile picture in there, but
But
maybe I just don't watch enough.
in my case, the recommendations are pretty bad. I have to agree with Ben on that. Like, they offer, like, they give me a suggestion or a movie or a show, and I get really bored with those. So I need to do my own research. So my question will be, if we do the like hyper personalization, are we going to face the same issue? Because if
Mhm.
Netflix has it, why we
That's a
are.
risk. Yeah.
And
And if
the
that
other
happens, and then if that happens, you lose customer, correct? Because you are not giving them what they want at the end of the day.
The crucial thing is
and
to give choice. Is to, like, Netflix doesn't say you should only watch this. It says
Mhm.
here's 5 things you might like, and okay, maybe those are all completely wrong. But it's, I think, one of the tenets of Omnichannel is connectivity, right? And we find with a lot of things, take the website example we were just discussing, a lot of content that we put on websites has no next step. It just goes, here's the thing.
Mhm.
As you direct traffic, here's the thing. Like, I get that maybe the recommendations might not be great, but even giving recommendations is better than nothing, surely. Like, if you launch Netflix and it was just a blank screen and went, but what do you want to watch, Juliana? You'd be like, I don't know.
Now I have my list, and I rewatch things. So that's the thing. I like to rewatch things that I liked. That's weird.
There's also the thing of like, chances are users of Netflix, you spend a fair bit of time on it, but are we expecting HCPs to spend a similar amount of time to be able to actually harness meaningful recommendations, or is it more commercially sensible to then focus on that, strategically focusing on what is relevant and providing it through a different means that might not be AI recommendations, but more so just being pragmatic and strategic around it?
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I think we have, or there were some comments, but Steph, if you want to take, you want to read something?
We have a mention here, which is I find quite interesting. So Tanya, who asked us a question, says that she appreciates the answer, and she's saying that my colleagues and I are following the EU's AI Act and FDI's process too. But I agree with the panel that the current guidelines still apply, such as GA and P5. But it will be interesting to see how the new developed regulations for EMA and FDA produce will turn out. Then she's recommending here the ISO standard 42001 AI management system. So I would rather have like a more of a comment here. How do you think the new AI acts and the FDA acts will regulate AI in a term that, do you think it will hurt the AI features we're going to use in Omnichannel or not? And if yes, then how? And do we have a solution to solve this?
It's a big question. Go on, Manuel.
Yeah, maybe I start. Thank you, James.
Throw you under the bus on that one. I'm not going to start. You start.
Fine. No, I start with the AI Act, for example, and one thing that the AI Act is introducing into the game is the risk-based approach. That it is something that it is something quite common in pharma, and basically, I mean, having this approach of the AI Act saying if a AI solution is somehow riskier than another, then you have to follow these rules. If not, you have to follow, let's say, other rules, or you are, obliged not to go there. For example, social scoring, these kind of things. I think, this is something that can help pharma companies, service provider take the right decision to the regulation to apply. While on the other countries, I see it broad. And when it is broad, it becomes also matter of interpretation of the law. So still, law and all the legal aspects are not an exact science. But I think Europe is doing very well with this, because you have somehow risk balanced approach. You can do something, you cannot do something else. Still, you have, let's say, a balance between taking the risk and, let's say, not missing an opportunity. And I think it can be of help there. I'm not, let's say, a legal expert, but for example, in self-promotion, let's say, mode, in the upcoming weeks, I'm releasing a YouTube video where I involved a legal person, expert in pharma, speaking about all the implication of the AI Act for pharma. And this person, let's say, from his legal background and so on, he has to study a lot and deep dive into the subject matter. So, and he's an expert. So, I can only give my 2 cents on this topic.
Yeah, I'd pick up on what someone said in the comments earlier, that we're talking about AI in terms of the generative AI, large language models, all that trendy AI that's come around in the last year and a half or so. But pharma especially has been using AI in drug discovery for years and years and years, and have natural language processing teams and big data teams. I was working with a pharma company, again, kind of early last year, talking about this new ChatGPT, and they said, "Oh, will you come and give a presentation to our teams?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll come and talk about it and explain how you could use it in the med affairs." And then kind of 2 weeks later, they went, "Oh, it turns out we've got a whole data science team and they do AI and we didn't even know. So we're going to get one of them to come along and join the presentations. Is that okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." So I spoke to her and said, "Do you feel that, like, you've been ignored?" And now suddenly she's like, "Yeah, I've been doing AI for years, in this big pharma company. Now ChatGPT comes
true.
suddenly people are interested." So I think there is a degree of, like, when we're talking about AI, we're in that. There is a whole lot. And to the point of the AI Act, I think pharma, and this is a guess, are probably quite far along in how they use AI, because they have been using it where some other industries have.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear Ben about this, because he's nods, but he is not.
I'm nodding because this is all new information for me, and I clearly haven't done my AI research on rules and regulations to be able to weigh in the conversation that anything of more value than what James and Manuel have already covered.
I
Not that I
will
would have
bring.
known any of that to begin with anyway, so it's been enlightening for me.
I will bring
Thank
a subject that it's related to an upcoming webinar where we had a discussion with a speaker, and she said that it's very important that all the strategies of AI, or everything that we use, needs to be regionalized, because sometimes, and it happens, for example, she talks about the difference in using or the different strategies used, for example, in Europe, in different countries, but sometimes they bring the same idea to LATAM, where it's completely different. Like she said, that the person-in-person contact is one of the most important things. And I'm here giving a little bit of a trailer about about our upcoming topic, webinar. But how do you guys feel about that? Do you agree with that sentence in terms of regionalization and adopting techniques need to be used in and need to be strategized in terms of who are your customers and what is the custom or culture that you're talking with?
I think so. I think it's extremely important, and not even just for AI or large omni-channel projects, but even, simple global to local content creation is a absolutely crucial part, because if you're not, adapting to what the local needs are, it's not going to resonate with the healthcare professionals that it's being used with, but also chances are the people that use the localized content, so whether it's a marketeer or a field team user, chances are they're not going to want to adopt it if it's not relevant for their local market either. So yeah, it's absolutely crucial that things are localized when it's important to do so.
Could you just use AI to do that? Could you just go, here's the global content, we're adapting this for Argentina. Make it
Be a good starting point, right?
It can be a starting point, but at the same time, and I'm going to use a movie reference. I don't know if you guys saw Hidden Figures, the movie about the NASA woman.
Was it on Netflix?
The woman. I don't
No.
know.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Netflix, but it wasn't there. No, it was a movie about this woman, and they were implemented a new machine. I don't recall the name, but the thing was that they were given some wrong data. So how we can ensure when using these tools that we are having the correct answer, let's say, to what we were asking? Like, how can I ensure that my regionalization with AI is going to give me the information that I want from Argentina currently, and not from Argentina, I don't know, 2 years ago or 1 year ago, that we have a change of, let's say, presidency and a change of government. So that will be my question. How can we rely that much or not?
I think Ben kind of already answered that when he said it would be a start, right? I think that, so we always say when you're using AI to do anything, you're never going to get 100%. If you've got 80% there, you've done really well. Even if you're like generating an image with DALL-E or getting someone to rewrite your email, like it'll get you 80% there. But if you there's no point in keep hammering at the AI, no do this, no do that. It's like at some point, probably the 80% point, if you get there, you stop and you finish it yourself. And I think something like, regional adaptation for Argentinian content, it might help you get 20% of the way. But hey, it's still 20% of the way. You've still got to do the rest of the work yourself.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head there. I think it's that domain knowledge and having someone to just sense check it and get it finalized is still, at least at the moment, still required for most aspects of generation of content.
Steph, you have a question that you wanted to ask, or what? Yeah.
I got a question. That's been like that's a bit more practical. So I know you guys will hate me about that. So so my question is this. So we were talking about objectives and KPIs, right? And somebody mentioned that you got AI. It's a very large topic, whatever. And some people don't even know that they have an AI team working there for 20 years, and they just discovered ChatGPT, right? So what metrics or KPIs should be used to measure the success of, let's say, some AI-driven personalization we're going to use in Omnichannel, be it like in person, online, or like hybrid? Yeah. So let's see that. Manuel, do you want to start?
Yeah, so maybe I can start with I mean, you say that we are gonna hate this question. I think you're gonna hate the answer, because I think, I mean, it really depends. It really depends because I mean, AI is very broad, so it really depends on the objective of the AI solution that you are trying to adopt, that you are using, and then you can have a very different goal. From my standpoint, let's say I have a very business oriented mindset. So any solution must, let's say, be done to achieve a certain business goal, either engagement, either sales. So that should be, I mean, the key goal of the solution should be the KPI number one. Then I think it depends on the nature of the solution. I mean, if it is a chatbot, is one thing. If it is a let's say a forecast tool for sales, that's another thing. So if it is a chatbot, for example, you may want to measure as a KPI the successful conversation that this chatbot is able to use. Or if you have a forecasting tool, maybe you want to measure its capacity, its ability of predicting actual sales. So it really depends there. And I mean, these are the two key things. When it comes to KPI, let's say, I mean, you can have thousands of KPI. Personally speaking, I try to, let's say, prioritize as much as possible to have 1, 2, 3 maximum KPIs, because KPIs are something that also drive behaviors. So if you're focusing on the right thing, if you're measuring the right thing, then you can also have somehow driving the possibility to drive the successful adoption of the AI solution. And adoption by itself is also another KPI that is important to be adopted, on top of another KPI that it is, of course, the safety of the AI solution. That's something that without safety, that's a no-go, regardless of any effectiveness, let's say, of the solution.
I think in general terms, if it is an AI kind of model, the general overarching or one general overarching thing that you can kind of measure for success will be like it improving over time. So if we take like next best actions or AI driven next best actions, just as an example, you can have, you know, quantitative measures of how often the suggestions are actually actioned or the suggestions actually acted upon. And then you can also have the qualitative feedback from the, you know, simple feedback. Was this suggestion useful? And you can implement those kind of feedback loops to get that. But ultimately, that kind of overarching piece, if it is AI driven, you should be looking for that kind of overall improvement in quality over time. So for the next best actions example, it would be that quality of those suggestions, increased conversion of suggestions launched versus actioned or acted upon.
Yeah.
Okay. Steph, do you have any more questions? We are almost on time, so I don't want to keep you guys here for longer than it needs. But I promised. So I would really like if each one of you could leave like a closing comment or something like that to our audience to leave them with. Who wants to
Yeah,
start?
just
You want to start?
just to mention, guys, audience, while you're here, please connect and follow our dear AI leaders in Omnichannel, James, Ben, and Manuel here. Okay, they will leave their LinkedIn accounts in the chat here, so feel free to send them hundreds of connections. Okay, they'll be happy to chat with you about AI Omnichannel content, Salesforce effectiveness. All right.
Thank you, Steph.
Sounds great. Looking forward to the influx there. So I think my kind of, I suppose, closing statement would kind of be it's really exciting time to technologically enable HCP engagement. We've never had access to, you know, such advanced and exciting technology, but there is still, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, a lot of work to do on that foundational HCP engagement technology stack that we've already got in play, from CRM, CLM content, and the just general data around that. And yeah, I believe that focusing on that probably has a greater commercial return on investment than and would be cheaper than, you know, the likes of jumping straight to AI solutions for the sake of it.
Yeah, I think mine would be on the channel's not hard. AI is not hard. Just get started. Get on with it. The sooner you get started, the better.
Yeah, and from my side, I think it is important to keep the human at the center. I think AI is a tool, and basically, I think you have to. I mean, if I can recommend something, is to take it practically, test, touch it with hands, and see what AI can do for you. That's something that I think is crucial.
I like it. Before we leave, James, I know you have something that you want to share with us. So please, the floor is yours.
We've got a webinar coming up. Christina Busmalis is from Benevolent AI, which is the premier AI drug discovery company, previously from IBM Watson and Google Cloud. She's the expert in healthcare AI. We've got her, and we've got Tim Batchelor, who's head of global commercial L&D at Ipsen. So he's the pharma expert, and we're putting them in the room, and we're making them talk about AI. They're the experts. I'm just going to be there in the background just to make sure it all happens. We're going to let them talk, and it's going to be really exciting. It is on the April the something. Well done there. April the 11th, and you can register at caminocoms.com.
Thank you for that. For anyone that wants more information, please do not hesitate to reach James. And for our thank you, I want to thank our panel. Thank you, James, Ben, and Manuel for being here. This has been incredible. I hope our attendees had as much fun and got some knowledge from what we shared here. Stefan, thank you for being here with me. And to everyone, I just want to let you know that we also have an upcoming webinar on April the 10th related to the LATAM industry. So we're going to be posting more information. So if you want to do a whole schedule, you can come to ours on the 10th and then go to James on the 11th. I promise you are going to get.
And then also just to add a little bit of webinar fun to this, we've also got a community called Digital Pharma Unlocked that's got a hybrid event on, which is titled "To Sell or Not to Sell" on the April 25th. So face-to-face in London, or available virtually too. And that's available on Meetup, and you'll see on my LinkedIn profile some links to that too. But just to keep April, webinar full and lots of fun to come.
So there you go, guys. Schedule in your agendas. You have the 10th occupied with Platforce, 11th with Camino, and then on the 25th.
25th
25th,
of
you
April.
have to go and see Ben. It's mandatory. So again, thank you everyone, and we hope
Thank you,
have
everyone.
Thank you.
day.
Thank you. It's been a great combo.
Thank you. Bye
Happy
bye.
Easter and
Thank you.
happy Ramadan, actually. So happy Easter, happy Ramadan for everyone. Yeah, if
Ramadan
you
Mubarak.
came from all over the world. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.